darn it. All right. All right. Man. Yeah, so what I'm doing behind me is I'm actually scanning. I don't know if you can see it. Let me get to the right screen. And it looks like it's a bunch of soundies. And so it's basically rubbing against, the film is warped, so it's rubbing against things. All right, so I'm just going to apologize. That all of this was incredibly frustrating today. It's a Monday. And I've been slowly moving stuff back to the archive. So, you know, I'm emptying out the basement at my house. And so that has taken a lot of my energy. So I was like, oh, I found this film. I should show it. And YouTube decided they're not interested in me showing that film because somebody is still actively monitoring the copyright on that. And I think it was Humpty that did it. Yeah, because it said copyright. Anyhow, let's analyze sports with film. I showed this like 2 years ago, but we just did a new scan of it and make it look prettier. This is brought to us by Kodak. Enjoy.
Just about every college and most high schools use movies for coaching football. Movies have been one of the most effective coaching tools ever developed. Every move, every strategic play can be recorded and then analyzed later. But while football has been proving the value of film analysis, nearly every other sport has been left out in the cold. And you know, this is strange, because analytical movies can be just as valuable to any other sport as they are to football. Movies can, in fact, help any coach improve all athletic performances. Movies can show a team how to work as a team. They can pinpoint plays that come off just right, and those that go wrong. Slow motion studies can help develop coordination. Improve balance and timing. And can show up the kinks that happen so fast that they can't be detected by any other means. All the advantages that movies give to football are just as applicable to every other sport. Perhaps there have been pretty good reasons for those other sports being left out in the cold. Sometimes movies haven't been too practical from a budget point of view, and then too, they usually required a certain amount of photographic skill to get usable pictures. But those problems are over now. Let me show you the new movie system that Kodak has come up with. A system that's just right for all sports. We've dubbed it the Super 8 Sports Analysis Team. It's a complete system. a coach's camera, coach's film, and a coach's projector. Together, an automated system. Each component has been designed to take all of the fuss and complications out of movie making. With this equipment, in your athletic department, each one of your coaches can benefit from movies of his sport because this movie-making system is foolproof, is economical, and it pays off in results. You've undoubtedly heard about Super 8, the dramatically improved 8mm film format pioneered by Kodak. Super 8 is a real improvement. It gives you all the economies of regular 8mm, plus a great improvement in image quality. Super 8 film gives you 50% more picture area than regular 8mm for bigger, sharper movies on your screen. But now, let's take a closer look at the equipment. This is the Ectographic 8 camera. Its special features make it ideal for sports work. Loading, nothing to it. And believe me, there's no way to load it wrong. What's more, you can unload and reload so fast, you'll rarely miss a play. Exposure? Don't give it a thought. Each film cartridge has this indexing slot that tells the camera all about the film speed. You don't have to set a thing. The camera adjusts itself automatically to give you proper exposure for any location or light level. There's a sensitive electric eye behind the lens to do all the metering for you. The camera takes into account the speed rating of the film, filming speed, and the amount of light on the screen, puts them all together and comes out with the proper exposure. All without guesswork, without complications. The Ectographic 8 is a reflex camera. You look straight through the lens that is taking the pictures. You see exactly what the film is getting. That orange mask is off camera, so to speak, but it lets you keep your eye on the play and still anticipate the action around the center of interest. The camera also has an excellent zoom lens that's powered by a battery. Its 5:1 zoom ratio allows you to pull back for wide angles that show the whole situation and then zoom in quickly and smoothly for a close-up study. Of course, you don't have to zoom. You can use a lens to get the size picture you want. This, or anything in between. This one zoom lens takes the place of several ordinary lenses. Like the zoom lens, the camera is run by electric drive. But what makes this the ideal camera for sports is that it will run at different speeds, permitting you to choose the type of analysis that best fits your needs. 18 frames per second is for normal coverage, 24 frames to slow down and smooth out the action, and 32 frames for slow motion study. We'll see in a minute how the action can be slowed down still further in the projector. Changing the camera speed is simple. Just set the speed dial for the speed you want, and the camera makes all the speed and exposure adjustments for you. Now let's talk about film and lighting, or rather, the absence of any special lighting. Although we're shooting this film in color, for fast local processing or economy, you may prefer black and white. Either Kodak Plus X or Tri-X reversal film. Tri-X is that dependable film coaches use for night football. It's fast enough for you to shoot indoors or in just about any other available light situation and get full coverage without any special movie lights. Outdoors, of course, you'd pick Plus X reversal. Its speed is designed to give you best results for daylight shooting. Right here, we better say a word about your Kodak processor dealers, the people who are set up to provide fast, quality service for processing these two fine black and white Super 8 films and give you any other help or information you may need. The last member of the Super 8 sports analysis team is the Kodak Instamatic M70 projector. With the Instamatic M70 projector, you can make your slow motion movies even slower by projecting them at 6 frames per second, like this. or you can go backwards and forwards for critical review. Or freeze the key part of the action. You can project your film just as it was shot, or use the high-speed control to race through the footage to the next particular shot you want to review. Now, we've been preoccupied with details the last few minutes, so let's stop and reconsider what we're really trying to accomplish. That is, to provide every coach of every sport with a tool to help his boys reach their top potential, improve their individual performances, gain maximum rewards from the time and energy invested in athletic programs. Every one of us who has used sports film knows for a fact that when a boy sees himself on the screen, he has an insight and understanding that can be gained in no other way. Film doesn't lie. It never forgets, but it does leave an accurate, lasting impression. One sidelight. When this picture you're looking at was being made, the cameraman was besieged by the boys to see the results. If we needed any proof of the value of these pictures, the concentration with which they were received and the impression they made furnished it. Now, before we wind up, let me toss in one or two tips for your cameraman. For games, floor or ground shots can be dramatic, but to see all the action and all the play on both sides, get your man up high. If possible, give him plenty of working room so he can follow the action freely. If he's jammed in somewhere, the crowd is bound to get in his way, particularly if the going gets exciting. Again, here's a quick kick from the ground. Nice shot of the kicker, but that's about all. Here's the same kick in slower motion and from a high angle. You see every man, every assignment, and you see how the play turned out. For football, basketball, soccer, and similar games, the best general rule is to set your zoom lens for a picture just big enough to catch every significant man in the play and no more. For individual performances, keep in tight and slow the faster actions down with your speed control. With the foolproof Kodak Sports Analysis team, these few tips and a little experience, any student or faculty member can get shots like this every time. So I guess that's about all I have to say for today. But my one last word to every coach who wants his boys to live up to their full potential, and what coach doesn't, analyze your sport with film.
It's been a day, so thank you for your kind words and your kind donations. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. I love potatoes. It's great to see you guys understand that sometimes Mondays are not great, and sometimes Mondays are not on Mondays. All right, one last film. These are ones that we've been scanning for different purposes, and so this one is Cornet film. Biological Science, Inquiring into Life. Oh, and I should say, we have scanned sports films. Football, basketball, some other sports as well, but mostly football and basketball. And almost all of them have been 16 millimeter. So it's kind of interesting. They were making a pitch for something cheaper. And I used to have an analyst projector where you could slow things down and run it forwards and backwards and run it like at like 1 frame a second or 2 frames a second just for this purpose. So, but it is finicky and it was shredding film, so we ended up getting rid of it. All right, so biological sciences, inquiring into life. Enjoy.
Life. It appears chaotic, a scramble of organisms, all sizes, all kinds. But underneath all of this incredible diversity, there is a kind of orderly progression, from simple to complex, from individuals to vast populations, from ecosystems to the biosphere and beyond. Biologists view life as a chain of interconnecting levels, beginning with the molecules that produce life's incredible chemistry. Molecules lie far beyond the reach of a laboratory microscope. The smallest speck seen here would have to be further enlarged 10,000 times to see even a hint of its molecular structure. However, with a little imagination, you can picture the frenzied dance as molecules are coupled and uncoupled in the countless chemical reactions that go on within each living cell. Research in molecular biology has given biologists a powerful insight into the nature of life, like the discovery of special proteins that catalyze each of the chemical reactions taking place within a living cell. It turned out that the instructions for assembling these controlling enzymes were encoded in giant information molecules contained in the cell's nucleus, molecules of DNA. DNA has been isolated and studied in hundreds of laboratories where biologists are learning to read the molecular instructions for life. They have even learned to rewrite instructions and to inject new messages into living systems. Moving from molecules to the next level is to jump in size 1,000,000 times into the realm of the cell. The smallest cells are bacteria, simple when compared to the complex cells of plants and animals, but amazing nonetheless. Each tiny bacterium digests nutrients, transforms energy, and manufactures enzymes and other proteins from DNA instructions. Bacteria share their drop of pond water with protozoans, like paramecium. But the difference between these two kinds of cells is great. For example, paramecium is filled with all sorts of complex organelles. Some carry out food-getting and digestion. Others oxidize the digested products for energy. But the most obvious difference is that paramecium, like the cells of plants and animals, has a nucleus, and within it, a number of chromosomes containing its DNA. Bacteria show none of the complexity seen in the larger cells. In fact, they don't even have a nucleus. The difference between bacteria and more complex cells splits the living world into two branches. Organisms made of cells with nuclei and organelles, the eukaryotes, and those without them, the prokaryotes. There are single-cell eukaryotes, like paramecium, and multicellular eukaryotes are familiar plants and animals. The cells of these larger organisms form tissues. Tissues form organs. And organs make up the working parts of the individual. It may seem like the individual is the highest level of biological order, but individuals are parts of a larger unit called a population. Biologists define population as all of the individuals in a given region capable of mating and producing fertile offspring. All of the lions spread across the continent of Africa make up a population. The region can be large or small. Populations that share the same living area tend to interact, even microorganisms. For example, paramecium and bacteria. The paramecium eats them. Mosquito wigglers eat the paramecia. Fish eat the wigglers, and all become links in a food chain. Populations of interacting species form ecological systems or ecosystems, like a pond ecosystem. The physical environment and the populations of organisms living there are what define an ecosystem. Some examples would be a forest, a grassland, or an ocean ecosystem. And all of our planet's ecosystems are linked together as parts of a larger system, the biosphere, Earth's thin shell of life. Within the biosphere, life and the physical world interact, and over great stretches of time, this interaction brings about change. Analysis of gases trapped deep in our planet's interior indicate that Earth's original atmosphere was made up almost entirely of carbon dioxide, with no oxygen. Microorganisms are believed to be responsible for lowering the original high levels of carbon dioxide by incorporating carbon molecules into their bodies. A process that took place over a very long span of Earth history. Oxygen, on the other hand, went from almost none in the original atmosphere to around 20% today. This change is thought to have been brought about by microorganisms, particularly a kind of blue-green prokaryote that first appeared around 2 billion years ago. There is evidence that these strings of blue-green cells were the first living things to release oxygen from water through photosynthesis, a biological innovation that changed our world. The discovery that life is responsible for our modern atmosphere is one of the exciting new ideas in biology. We have been exploring the way life is organized in space, but life's roots also reach back through time. Evolutionary biology is the science that explores life's origins and the mechanisms of change. Some investigators working in this area attempt to unravel Earth's biological history, tracing out evolutionary pathways that explain how our modern-day organisms came to be. Others use carefully designed experiments to probe the genetic processes that produce change. These investigations shed light on the difficult question of why some populations spawn new species while others become extinct. It's often rapidly reproducing organisms that have improved our understanding of life. The fruit fly's 12-day life cycle allows geneticists to make experimental crosses that show how traits are passed from one generation to the next. Its large chromosomes make it possible to actually locate the genes that govern a particular trait. All fields draw on genetics. Developmental biologists want to know how genes are turned on and off as a fertilized egg develops into an individual. Behavioral biologists are attempting to discover connections between genes and behavior. Molecular biologists are learning how to manipulate genes in order to create new traits in living things. They have already put microorganisms to work producing a growing list of genetically engineered products for medicine and industry. The controlled manipulation of genes is one of the great scientific achievements of our time. But such achievements are only possible if there is a huge research base to build on. Improving this knowledge base often depends on the development of new tools. Just as the light microscope turned tiny specks into amazing single-cell beings, the electron microscope revealed structures within these cells that could not be imagined by an earlier generation of biologists. And although it was the electron microscope that showed life's hidden structure, it was the biochemists who isolated cell parts and discovered how they performed their life-giving reactions. But biochemists and just about all of the other fields of biology owe a special thanks to these organisms and to the microbiologists who 100 years ago worked out the techniques for culturing them in the laboratory. Under laboratory conditions, bacteria will double their numbers every 30 minutes, making them ideally suited for experimental studies. For example, evolutionary biologists can use microorganisms to follow changes through hundreds of generations, the equivalent of 20,000 years if humans were the subjects. Even ecologists have found that they can use microorganisms to model the larger world. In this study, a single-cell predator is introduced into a population of paramecia. It attacks one, and in less than a minute, swallows it whole. By studying how these rapidly reproducing organisms interact, ecologists have developed theories about how predators and prey coexist. But biologists also ask questions that can only be tackled using larger organisms. The trick is to choose a subject that is suited for their particular line of inquiry. For example, in order to study brain function, this investigator is taking advantage of the highly simplified brain of a sea slug. The mollusk's brain has but 4 lobes, each with less than 100 large brain cells, making it possible to probe and listen in on the electrical activities of individual cells. The cells involved in a particular behavior pattern, the escape reaction triggered by the touch of a predatory starfish. From such studies, biologists are learning how the brain controls behavior. But to what extent can the results gained by studying simple organisms be extended to complex ones? Do brains with billions of cells also have wiring diagrams for behavior? And what will we ultimately discover about life as biologists push further into the mysterious world of molecules and cells? Or explore the vast networks of interrelationships that govern the biosphere? Knowledge leads to new questions and investigations, and we can be sure that our understanding of the marvelous process of life will continue to advance on all its levels.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching today, in spite of all the technical problems. Wow. Although the power didn't go out this time like it did last week. But, maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow that will happen. So, thanks for tuning in. Very much appreciate your eyeballs. I appreciate your donations. I appreciate your thumbs up. And I'm very thankful. This is a week where we're thinking about thankful. And so I'm very thankful that you are all there and you're all watching. And you still are interested in spite of absurd things that we do. So thank you for that. And yeah, let's see each other tomorrow. I'll try to pick some films that will not get me in trouble, but you never know. There's a wide world out there, and there's lots of things that can cause us problems. So I appreciate you being along there for the bumpy ride. Take care. We love you. See you soon.